Well, hey guys, welcome back to the Nature's Image Farm podcast for another Stream Team Beekeeping Chat Fall Q&A edition. There's a lot going on. We're going to get right into it. Thanks so much for spending your evening with us talking about bees. It's that time of year where we're getting closer and closer to that winter rest for the bees. And are the bees where they need to be? Have you done all the things right? Are you worried about the things you haven't done? Are the bees looking good? Is goldenrod producing anything? Are your bees hungry? Tonight's a Q&A show. It's all about you. Leave your questions in all caps, and we will get through as many of those questions as we can tonight. Bruce, Brian, great seeing you guys tonight. Let's go around the horn, check in, and see how things are going in your neck of the woods. Let's go all the way down south to the Dothan Shogun himself. Bruce, how are things in Dothan, Alabama?
Well, we got a hurricane. We got a hurricane bearing down on us now, but I think it's going to go a little east of us. Thank goodness. It's always best to be on the west side of a storm if you can be. So that's going to be making landfall somewhere, I guess, in the Big Bend of Florida. Just kind of maybe up kind of through Tallahassee over that way. They're predicting somewhere over that way tomorrow evening. So it's going to get a little rowdy down here. And we'll probably get some good rain out of it and some wind, but it won't be near as bad for us as it's going to be for those people over there probably. Unless it veers up and comes right over us, which is possible. You never know with these hurricanes. So that's what the excitement is coming through here. As far as the bees go, this past weekend, I was able to spend the weekend up in Clanton, Alabama at the Alabama Beekeepers Association conference. I didn't really do any video, just kind of hung out with everybody, and it was a good conference. We had a good time. I saw Lisa up there and several other people that may be in the chat tonight. So it was a good time. And as far as the bees, I haven't been in them in a week and a half, 2 weeks. And so I don't know how they're doing. I hope they're doing okay.
I'm not sure if you're that sounds like a brag to me.
I don't know. There's stuff I need to be feeding them. I need to be checking on them, but I just have not had a chance. I've been, just working and out of town this past weekend and haven't had a chance to get out there and get in them. And so I hope they're doing okay. Really. I haven't been in them. And, but we're going to find out Saturday morning. I plan on going out there and checking on them and seeing how they're doing. And hopefully they're doing okay.
Well,
hopefully they don't blow away. Hopefully they don't blow away in the storm.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think they will.
This has been just one incredible year on just about every possible imaginable front. So hopefully your bees are making it there, Bruce, and the nice thing is you haven't been in them for a little while, so their lids and their boxes, everything are going to be glued down nice. And
yeah, that's true. We'll
just pray the winds don't take them up to Oz.
I hope not. If it gets that bad, then we're going to be. If it gets that bad, then the bees will be the least of our worries over the next few days.
Exactly, 100%. Awesome. Well, Brian, what's going on in your neck of the woods up in Northeast Ohio?
Well, other than rain right now, to be honest, I have no idea. I haven't been over to check the colonies. I checked them, what was it, last week, I think, just before our live stream last week, and all was well. I did that combine, but was gone for a couple days, was gone like 4 days. And then when I get home, it's been last 2 days, we've had right around 2 inches of rain now in 2 days. So I haven't even had a chance to go and check things. So we'll see, though. I think tomorrow is going to be, weather looks like it's going to be a little bit better. So I'll probably shoot over tomorrow. I was able to, though, even when it's raining, you're still doing bee stuff. So I sat yesterday evening with my drill and right over around the other side of my desk here putting shims together. So I got all my feeder shims together. That's all ready. So I'll probably take those over, just get things set up. I think our goldenrod up here is about done. When we were out, took the dog for a walk, about 2 hours ago, the goldenrod looked like it was about on its way out. So when I checked things a week ago, though, there was that wet nectar on the top of frames. So I know there was a little bit. we'll see how much when I check it, but I think they'll be okay. We have enough time. I mean, it's September 25th now. I'm gonna probably, when I get the shims, throw the Hive Alive, their new syrup packets on, but we'll see. So, well, I'll update next week, I guess.
When you're saying that, I'm looking at the weather right now, and like it's, guys, we're literally on the heels of fall really turning. I think a lot of old timers are saying we're gonna go from summer to winter, and I'm looking at the forecast right now. Maybe we'll pull it up here and put it on the screen. But when we get into October the 9th, October the 7th, we really start dropping down into the 40s at night. And that is, boy, it's really going to start tapering off in a big hurry. I'm still trying to get I'm trying to get my mind space right, because when you're talking about shims, I'm just thinking, I wonder what song Brian sings when he's putting together shims. Does it go something like shim shiminy, shim shiminy, shim shim shiroo?
I wasn't listening to any music. I had on, I forget whose live stream it was last night. One of the beekeeping live streams. I think it was Brad Faith Apiaries. I think he was on last night, and I had it on here, and I wasn't even. It was just kind of background noise because I was around the other side of the room putting the shims together. So it was just something to pass the time. I mean, it's raining outside, and it's like I know I got to get that done, but I know something else that I need to get done. I think I have. Well, I know I have a little bit of time on that. I probably have about a month and a half for my insulated inner covers that I put on top of all of my colonies going into the winter. Those little jokers have chewed that styrofoam. You know how there's that styrofoam insert in them? They have chewed the tar out of that. Yeah. So it's funny, though, because I already had plans to do this even before I saw Dara's latest video about that little insert that they have for their fondant. Did you see that little plastic kind of? It's like an insert that fits in your inner cover. And I already had in mind to build like a plate with a little cone insert to go down through those. That way, then I'm going to put a piece of glue on and then put the fondant on top of that. That way the bees can't get to the foam on my insulated inners. So I need to get that done. But, I've got up until Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving is like the cutoff for when I put my fondant on. So,
yeah, it hopefully it's not happening sooner than later. But looking at these nighttime temps, we're going to start cruising towards those cooler temps. I think we are our time frame on getting bees fat and happy before wintertime. I think it's going to start closing in on us a lot faster than a lot of us want to believe. Right now, here in East Central Ohio, the goldenrod is it's done nothing. I just took a goofy video with the turkeys and ducks and chickens, around the goldenrod, and it's just unbelievable. I've never seen where hardly anything is, like nothing is hardly even on the goldenrod. When you look, you'll see it's everybody's so hungry they're still going to check it out. They'll hit it and then they'll leave. It's almost as though they can sense and know that the pollen is nutritionally deficient, so they're not even wasting any time on it. But to have fields and oceans of yellow goldenrod everywhere and have nothing really hitting it, what there is a little bit of pollen, and you can see that orange pollen kind of sticking to the bees there, and that's it. They are going absolutely hungry right now in our neck of the woods. The goldenrod is giving up the ghost. It's turning. The leaves are turning brown, black. It's just faded. It looks tired and wore out. Hadn't really done anything at all. And here's how we know this is we were rounding third and headed into home for winter. The asters are on. The asters are on right now. And so the goldenrod that is on right now is historic. See, yeah, fields of it. Yep. and to not hear the buzz, to not see the bees, to not even see all the other pollinators on it. It's just a tricky scenario. But yeah, so here we are with asters. You know, asters are the things that typically I think is giving most of the colonies that gem sock smell, and I don't think that they're producing. Now, this morning, I don't know if I can, Brian, are you able to, let me see if I can show this.
What's that?
Let's see, where am I at here? But if I could know how to use my phone, let's see. Library.
It's that thing that you put in your pocket, and when you hold it up to your ear, people, you know, you hear voices come out.
Yeah. Do you hear voices a lot, Brian? Tell us about that.
I do. They
All right,
talk.
let's see. All right, let's see if we can do this. All right. Let's see if we can do this technology thing, Brian. You ready? Okay, let's see. Boom. Let's do this. Let's share screen, share window, share that one.
I'm looking at our forecast, and we go from Monday the 30th, our low is 60, and then on Tuesday, low of 52, Wednesday, low of 47, 47, 49, 51, 59, 47. So
we're going to talk more about late fall feeding. Let's see if this will play.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Oh wow. Yep. I know that place.
Looks like you're not in drought anymore, at least. You're getting a good washing there. Good rain.
You know,
what a mess.
The problem with the rain when it comes down that heavy, when it's that dry, is it's only going to soak down half an inch to an inch, and it's just all going to run off.
It was unbelievable. Like the ground was dry. I mean, we were out there not making a mess with the skid steer or anything. Where it did make a mess is the 800 feet of water line that we put in, where we've got most of it backfilled except for around the fittings, so we can do a pressure check and all that. Guess what got all nasty and flooded and muddied in, and it's we got a pile of work now because of that, you know. And so all those cuts and trenches are wanting to sink in, and you know, it's interesting because, you know, we're out here and we go from one extreme to the other. You pray and beg God for rain, and then when He gives it to you and just dumps on you, you can't really complain about it. But it is nice to have a mud puddle or two. We'll see what that does for the actual nectaries of the only thing left is asters. And truth be told, I don't know enough about the asters biology to know how long it takes for asters to take on moisture and then turn that into nectar. I would say at this point, if they're already up and bloomed and mature, we probably a little late. But you know, whatever we can do to get some moisture out on these pastures to hopefully keep these the root systems thriving is going to be a big deal for next year as well too. So that's kind of where we're at right now, is extreme drought to extreme rain, and I think we're all going to be getting a lot more rain. And don't even think for a second that I'm complaining about the weather. Our thoughts and prayers are definitely with all the folks who may be in the path of this hurricane, their bees, their farms, their houses. It's, you know, that's always a scary thing. So, you know, it's a reminder that no matter how bad you think things are, there's always someone who's getting ready to cross that river or climb a mountain that's going to be way tougher than you. So we'll keep that in mind.
Right.
Well, tonight's show is all about answering questions. So whatever questions you guys have tonight, leave them in caps. We'll star them, and then we'll get to them kind of as we go through tonight's show. And until then, you know, that's kind of where we're at with our beekeeping right now. We're literally in a holding pattern. We are in a good place already for wintertime. We've already right-sized everything. We're either in a single or a story and a half. Everything has feed. Everything has the Pro Suite with the Hive Alive in it. Everything has pollen patties on right now. Everything's been treated. Mite counts look good. Colonies that didn't need treated are still looking great. And we did just get back from a really cool video shoot where we were able to participate and help out with educating the educators. Went up to Indiana at Apis Engineering and visited with Dale McMahon and Crispin Given, and had a great opportunity to educate educators taking artificial insemination to their K through 12 school district. That is a really cool thing. I can't wait to share that video and that story. But it is cutting edge education where they are. You talk about immersion learning, bringing artificial insemination to K through 12 students.
Wow.
That is really cool, and I can't wait to share that. So stay tuned there. So that's where everything's winding down here as far as insemination, drone maturity. Where everything is winding on down right now. It's just feed them, get them happy, get them fat, and it's full speed ahead for Bee Expo prep right now. So we're really excited about the ENDURAHIVE wax dipped line of equipment. We're really looking forward to bringing that in a big way to the expo. The absolute best prices on the best wax dipped equipment on the market. Really, really excited about that. It's going to be great. So many great things to announce, including the Bee Expo pricing will be out very soon. If you want to be first to know on Bee Expo pricing, or you want to get on our queen list for 2025, go over to naturesimagefarm.com, hit the contact us, shoot us an email, and we'll be sure that you know about the Bee Expo pricing before anybody else does. So it's going to be awesome. Let's see if we've got, don't be shy, folks. If you got questions, I'm having a hard time scrolling through my screen sticking here.
I was just sitting here thinking, that as our seasons go on and you learn and you react to the current situation as far as where your bees are, what Mother Nature has given you. Normally this time of year, what am I doing? I'm chasing that fall flow.
Yep.
And I've got supers on late, and I'm just scatterbrained come October because I'm treating and doing all that junk late. This year, it's like, well, no, it's going to be September 26th. I'm going to go and throw shims on. I'm going to throw feed on them. I'm not messing with a fall flow. I think
it's kind of freeing, isn't it? It's freeing in a way to just say, you know what, goldenrod, bees, you can have it.
Yeah.
It's a pain to store. It's a pain to spin. It's a pain to have to constantly remind customers that real honey crystallizes and goldenrod is extra sugary. Like, cool. Let's pull our honey the first part of the year. Let's treat on time. If goldenrod hits, great. We'll turn it into a product or give it back to the bees or have something to make those late splits or cut down on our feed bill. Otherwise, I've got no interest in goldenrod, and it's extremely freeing to just say, cool, let's treat the bees and take care of the bees first and not even worry about the goldenrod harvest.
Yeah, I've got 2 supers out, is it? And my plan is when I go over and check, and I check the weight on, because I'm going to go into the winter with, it'll be a story and a half. My plan will be, I'm going to distribute those frames out amongst the apiary. If there's any extra, because I want the medium that's on, I want it completely filled. So if not every colony has a complete super, I'm going to divvy those frames out just so that I get weight in them. If there's any extra beyond that point, well, I'll spin those couple frames. That's it. But I might not even pull a drop. I don't know. So a lot easier this time of year than having to clean equipment when it's, this late in the season. So, yeah.
Bruce, where are you with where you think you're at right now with the weight of your colonies?
I imagine some of them are getting kind of light, but I don't know for sure. I know that the splits I made a few weeks ago are probably, they've got to build up still. And I've been feeding them pretty consistently. I didn't get them fed last week because I was at the conference. But we do have, believe it or not, we just have the goldenrod kicking in now. It's blooming. I don't know if it's a good flow or not. I know that we had a really nice rain a couple of weeks ago, like 4 or 5 inches. good soaking rain. So I'm not sure if that's was enough in a timely manner to help the goldenrod, produce for the bees. I know that the goldenrod was just turning that kind of a creamy, milky color. It wasn't yellow yet when the rain came through, and now it is. And so I'll find out more about that this weekend. But that's my main goal this weekend, is to feed those bees down at Appa and the ones I did the splits in, and just check the weight on the rest and see what I need to do. So I'm kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit. I just haven't been able to get out and get in my bees as much as I needed to, or at least check them as much as I needed to. But
yeah, well, I guess time will tell, but it doesn't sound like you robbed them too hard, or that they're out there starving at this point.
I never do I've never done a fall harvest before. I just let them keep whatever they bring in. A lot of them had significant weight on them from cotton and from whatever was left over from the regular flow. But we did have a dry spell, late July and most of the month of August. And so I'm sure they consumed a lot of their stores then. And some of them were getting a little bit light. And that's why I've been feeding those Appam bees like crazy. They seem to be the ones that were in the worst shape when it came to that, being a little bit light. Last time I checked, and the rest of them seem to be doing pretty well, but we're going to find out pretty soon.
Well, I guess we'll touch base in the next week or two and see how your bees are doing there. I think everyone, it's interesting how fast Bruce ramps up in the spring. He gets to the end of the race on the honey flow first, and then your bees go through this prolonged, I don't even know what you call it, time period where it's not really super productive. It's not quite dearth. It's just sketchy.
It's survival. It's survival
right in between of maybe getting a fall flow to build back up. Do you need to put feed on? All the while, mites are still running rampant, running out of control because the temperatures are still there. They're still pollinating the colonies, so hive beetles have all these opportunities. So at some times of the season, we're jealous that you started early, you're brooding early, you're into the season. Then there are other times where this prolonged time period you're in, we're definitely not envious of,
Yes, I think it's tough. I mean, I know it's tough up north because of the cold, but down here, it's just really, you have about 3 or 4 months of fun beekeeping, and the rest of the year it's just kind of, let's keep them alive for the next year. And so we have a lot of survival beekeeping, and then 3 or 4 months of a lot of fun and super, productive time. But it's like a water hose in the spring where you have the privet coming in if we get a spring flow, then a fire hose for about a month when the tallow comes in, and then it's just a trickle the rest of the year, it seems like. And so it's a challenge, but somehow we make it work. I will say that when I discovered the Hive Alive fondant patties, I don't use them this time of year usually, but in the winter, like January, February time frame, those things have saved me. They just really are just a phenomenal product when those bees are building up. They might plow through their stores very quickly because we might have a decent little trickle coming in that ramps them up, and then it's just hit or miss during that early, late winter, early spring time period. With the Hive Alive Fond, that just helps them kind of plow right through those difficult times, and I found that to be just apply that a time or two right in that little sketchy time frame, and it really seems to help.
Yeah, feed's a big deal. What do you got there, Brian?
I got something here that I'm going to try it out. I know neither of you guys have tried it. It's brand new. Heck, I can't even get the camera to
It's the Roxanne. Yeah, the Roxanne.
Yeah. I'm trying to understand where that product and some of these others fit into, like where the appropriate use of something like that necessarily is.
It's the same thing as an oxalic acid sponge. It's the same principle. I think oxalic acid and glycerin.
Yep.
But I don't know either.
Strip. It's one strip for every 2.5 frames of bees.
What?
So yeah, you put 4, like 10 frame box, you put 4.
So you'd need 8 for doubles.
Yeah, see?
How expensive is it per strip? That sounds like that could be outrageously expensive.
That sounds unrealistic.
This thing here, how much is in here? There's 60 strips in here. Now, for someone like me, it's okay because 60 strips, in a sense, I mean, I can do 15 of my singles, you know, and I don't even have that many colonies just yet. So I think there's 11 over there. So for me, this packet here is easy. And then figure it says it's very similar, like duration wise, of Apivar, but I would normally drop strips in the fall. That was always my routine. But I think I'm going to give my colonies a break here in the fall from the Amatraz so that they don't develop any bit of a resistance. And when I saw this stuff, I thought, oxalic acid, and I've seen that there's a lot of positive feedback on it. I thought, I'll try it,
I mean, worst case scenario, you just kill your bees like anything else. You don't know until you try it. I'm not saying that will kill your bees. I'm just saying the worst fear you have is that, okay, well, kill my bees. It'll abscond them. If it's all the trials, a lot of products, you have to just kind of see for yourself what it'll do. I'm just not so sure on the price points on those that it makes, for what it's actually doing. Is it making that much sense?
How much is it, Brian? Did you say for 4 strips? How much is it? Like for a deep box.
Let me look because
if those strips are as expensive as Apivar strips, then it's going to be way more expensive. But if
we're talking about $90 for a 60 pack before shipping, so
I got it. It was cheaper than that.
It's like $1.50 a piece.
Yeah, $1.50 a piece times 4, $6 a box.
$74.89
for doubles. So still $1 and change, $1.24. So $4.50, $8 to $9 for a colony, and that stays on for how long?
You could leave it on for up to 56 days.
Yeah, but I don't want to open up my mouth and trigger a bunch of folks who are just waiting to pile up.
Brian, is it designed to actually? Is it designed to knock the mites back, or just to kind of hold them steady?
Yeah, it's from what I've seen. I've seen a lot of positive reviews of it. It's the only reason why I bought it, because me, I'm hesitant with a lot of stuff. But I saw a lot of data out there where it was like knocking them down pretty good. I think because it's just nonstop there. You always have this strip in there versus if you're not spot on with your timing, if you're doing the OAV, you have to make sure that your timing is right, or else you're going to have that little gap in there in between treatments where there's no effective treatment in the colony. So, because like years back when they would say, "Oh, do 1 gram per brood box, once a week times 3." Well, then they found out the half-life of oxalic acid was 4 to 5 days. So you had a 2 to 3 day time frame where there's no active treatment in the colony. I'll see. We'll see what it does. So
I'll be curious to see.
I think if that approach, grows legs, I think what you will see a lot of folks doing is buying a good quality oxalic acid and then going to sponges or doing it themselves. And because, if you're even like, the highest quality oxalic acid on the market, the Easy Ox brand, that is approved for dribble already, so you're already in the vein where, you can use an appropriate product like that version of OA. I'm just, we'll see. I'm a little apprehensive on pulling the trigger on. I've been burned on some other products in the past, and I know what's working. I know if I spend X amount of dollars, here's the result I'm going to get as a result of that. This year, our colonies are looking phenomenal using OAV and Formic. And on some of them, a few of them, Apigard, and those all work for their own reasons. I guess the older, I guess the more positive feedback that I get from our systems and methods that feel like they're getting dialed in, the less experimental that I'm willing to get, because in the past, I know what experimenting got me. Experimenting got me lots of colonies that were burned up, chewed up, absconded, or dead. And so now I'm like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So for me, we're heading in the right direction. You
want to know, and I do see people saying about the cost. $74.69 is what I got my 60 pack for. So
Where'd you get them?
Better Be had them at that.
Well, how many days you got to put those on for?
They can stay on up to 56 days. So I'm gonna.
So you would need at least a brood cycle, at least, and you kind of really don't even hardly have a brood cycle left this year to really.
Yeah.
To do so, I guess let's see, September. You do, if you could do a mite wash, put the strips in, and then give it 30 to 45 days, and come back and do another wash and see where you're at. Going into Thanksgiving, then maybe you've got some feedback to make a decision on. You
want to know the one other detail that I'm looking at with these is the time of having to go over every 4 to 5 days, the time that it's going to save me.
That's why I like Apivar so much.
Yep.
I like Apivar because you just put it in there and you leave it for 4 to 6 weeks or whatever.
That's truthfully one of the big selling points for me with this was I didn't want to have to go over there every 4 to 5 days with everything that I've had going on. I have been really, really busy around the house. And I don't want to have to worry about for a month running over there nonstop all the time, if I don't have to. So I figure I can toss these buggers in and we'll see what happens. Worst thing that happens is, I call you up in the spring and line up and pick up some packages. Yeah.
Well, I don't think you're going to nuke your bees. I'm just not so convinced that they're actually anything more than mite maintenance. That's my gut reaction. But again, I've not tried them. I don't have them on, so I'll be interested into your feedback if they actually what they're actually doing there. Speaking of mite treatments, I got a question here. Can we get this thing up? This is a huge. I'm gonna put it here. There's no way. It's like a two-parter. Let's start right here. This was a phenomenal question, and we don't get the opportunity to really talk about this. And sometimes when we talk about this, folks are a little. I feel like everything I want to say, folks, they want to argue with, and I'm to the point to where I'm not trying to be argumentative with anybody. But here we are. Here was a question. It says, "Hi, Greg. We recently visited your class and purchased your kit to test for mites, which was a Varroa Easy Check. Hive 1 has 2 mites and 200 bees. Hive 2 has 2 mites and 200 bees. And I'm pretty sure those were nukes, okay, that they got from us. Hive 3 has 20 mites and 200 bees." Let's get the second part. "Hive 3 was a swarm, and they are really aggressive. What treatment would you recommend? Hive 2 is established, and we will be pulling honey this year." So let's go back to these numbers. Hive 1 and Hive 2 both had 1 to 2 mites per 200 bees. That's a fantastic mite wash. Beautiful. Okay. Hive 3 has 20 mites and 200 bees. That's a 10% threshold. Okay. And to recap, Hive 3 is a swarm, and they are really aggressive. What treatment would you recommend? That's a great question. Nobody talks about that. Everybody assumes that the swarms or the free bees are truly free. And this year specifically, I don't know what's going on, but it's, I think we're finding pockets where the bees have had enough stress on one side of the season or the other that maybe the survival bees are starting to be standouts a little bit more, and then the colonies that are swarming out that have high mite loads, maybe those are being, I don't know, more expressed. I'm not sure, but I've heard this a lot this year in Ohio, that some of the swarms are deformed wing virus and swarms, mites on the bees in the swarms, and folks are doing mite washes now because we've been pounding that so hard. They're doing mite washes and finding just absolutely filthy bees. The same can certainly happen no matter where the bees are or where they come from. I'm just making a point that just because you catch bees does not mean that they're healthy. And it really goes to show that if you are going to spend a lot of time and effort catching bees, catching swarms, chasing those, doing cutouts, you really, really should consider putting those bees in a quarantine yard away from everything else. Get in there, do some mite washes, and don't make that somebody else's problem. This is the typical, when you catch a groundhog or a raccoon, you don't take it over to the pasture next door and turn it over for Farmer Joe to have a problem with it. We need to take care of these problems where they're at so they don't become bigger problems for somebody else too. In this scenario, let's talk about it real quick, guys. Hives 1 and 2 in that scenario were great. 2 mites per 200. They're at a 1% threshold this late in the year. I mean, if you have OAV, let her rip. Beautiful format would be oxalic acid vaporization on those 2 colonies just to keep things pinned back. No big deal. Hive 3, they're aggressive and they are at a 10% threshold. Bruce, Brian, have you guys ever had a colony get as high as a 10% threshold?
Yep. You have?
Bruce?
Yes, I have. Just this year I had some that were. And, on those, when Auburn did their studies, I had pretty bad infestations in some of those colonies. And so I was treated right then and it knocked them way back, but the hives still were those colonies still were a little bit weakened. I actually requeened some of those colonies. So
I was gonna, yeah, did they ever fully bounce back and make a full recovery, or they kind of on a crutch?
I think they the ones that were really bad were pretty much just on their way out.
Yeah.
One of them, I have one of those colonies that died out. One of them, the one that had the worst mite load, was just kind of unhealthy looking. And I'm pretty sure I just replaced that queen when I got those queens a few weeks back in that colony. Most of them were, a lot of those washes were like in the teens, which is still way too high, but it wasn't ridiculously high. But a couple of them were way, way up there, like loads as high as I've never seen loads that high before. And so my eyes were open. It was right when we were about to pull the honey. And so it's tough to figure out here what to treat with during a honey flow, because you put formic acid on there. It's like 96 degrees outside every day. You can't do that.
Yeah.
What else can you treat with honey, with the supers on? Maybe you can hit it with OAV, but still, is that going to be effective with all the brood? And so it's just a really difficult thing. And I thought I had the mites knocked back better than apparently I did before we started the season. But I kind of, when January, February hits around here, it's all both guns blazing, splits, just really working the bees hard. And I kind of let my mite treatments. I treated quite a bit with OAV throughout the winter, but I don't think I did any checks right before the honey season. And so some of those may have started the season a little bit high that I just didn't realize.
Mm-hmm.
But it did knock them way back, but they're still kind of sickly. Every single one of the colonies, there was only one that it didn't have a tremendous effect on, but it wasn't a super high mite load anyway. It was higher than I liked, but it wasn't horrible. The rest, it knocked them way, way back. The Apivar worked effectively, but some of them were almost too far gone.
That makes sense. I think when and we'll follow up with Brian here in a sec. I'm almost finding myself getting having a conversation in my head before I go to even let something like this out. But we've said this over and over and over again. Yeah, mite washes are a great metric, but it is only a little snapshot for right now. But it can give us some very crucial information. When you get to the point where you're already at a 10 or 15 or 20% mite load, the mites in that colony are the least thing of your worries. What is really of worrisome is the viral expression inside of that colony, the potential for that. That's the problem. Which viruses are expressed how long is it going to take that colony to actually bounce back from that, be healthy enough to start moving that colony in a forward situation? A lot of times they're not. A lot of times those viruses have run rampant for so long that everything in that colony is so sick that, yeah, now they are mite free, but guess what? Is now so stripped, they are still so sick, they're not moving forward, they dwindle, they start to get robbed out, they abscond. It's one thing after another. So it's like, what do you do? And right now, everyone is in this fall crux where, they're saying, hey, what should I do now as far as mite treatments? And I'm thinking, whoa, hey, if you're just waiting until right now to do anything for this year, please do 100% do a mite wash to at least create this baseline, figure out where you are. But you have to know that if you do a wash and you've got high counts, what are you going to do? You either roll the dice and hope that there are high mites and low viral transmission and these bees can make it through the wintertime, or you go the other way and you put the treatment to them, shut the queen down, and risk losing all these winter bees that they need to be making right now to get through the wintertime. Sometimes you've got two options. You put the treatment on and risk ruining the colony or making them abscond or smoking an old, tired, sick queen, or you let them go and try to make it on their own through the wintertime. Either way, they're nearly doomed. It's a tough spot to be in, which is why mite treatment needs to start. But you need to be on point June, July, and August with this. And that's where products like OAV is crucial. Formic is crucial at the right time. But you get into a situation like Bruce, and it's 92 degrees from June 1st all the way until now. What's Bruce going to do? He can't put Formic on. He can't put Apigard on. He has to lean on products like Apivar that's not so heat sensitive. That's a really tough spot to be in.
Well, one thing that I need to do a better job of is just getting them low during the wintertime. Figuring out how to make them low and keep them low. I think if I could really go into spring with really low mite counts, zeros and ones on my washes and twos, maybe it would make a difference. But this past year, I honestly didn't really assess late in the season. I just assumed since I was hitting them all winter with OAV that it helped, and maybe it had. But all I know is down at Alpine Farms, they were absolutely just infested, a lot of those colonies down there. And so I'm not sure why that particular spot was that bad. But the Apivar, it's very effective for me. It has been. I know people say that bees have become resistant to, or that mites have become resistant to Amitraz, but that's what that study was all about. And what they found is right here in this little part of the state, most of the bees, I think, from the Auburn study were not mite resistant. Most of the mites were not Apivar resistant or Amitraz resistant down here, which was a good thing, but still you got to mix them up. And I'm a little hesitant. I've used Formic a little bit. Last year I used a little bit in the spring and the fall. The fall, it kind of scares me a little bit because you want to, like you say, you want the queens to be laying and producing those winter bees. And so it's a little difficult to do that. And spring would probably be the ideal time to use Formic here. But if you're trying to make splits and bill bees, that can set them back a little bit too. So that might be something you could speak on, Greg, if you've used that Formic in the springtime. Brian, you as well. Mm-hmm. Just wanted to try those products because I've used Apigard once. It was in the fall too, and it does the same thing. It kind of shuts them down, slows them down going into winter. And so the OAV I've used more than anything else, and then the Apivar, but I just have not really figured out the best way or time of the year to use the Formic and the Apigard here in this setting because it does get so hot during the summer. You can use the Apigard in the summer here, but you have to cut it into a half dose on the strong colonies. And that's what I did for only one time I used it. But it just, I don't know, there's something about it. The bees really just kind of, they propolized it. It seemed like the bees just hated that stuff almost more than Formic, it seemed like. But I only did it one time, so I don't have a very big sample size to really, go on with that. But my go-tos are always have been Apivar and OAV for all the years. But I'm not opposed to trying other things.
I don't know if this is from Via Honeybees. This is a great comment. It's so great. Guys, who do you think made this comment? Is it Tom or is it Melissa?
Melissa.
You think it's Melissa? All right. If you guys know Tom and Melissa over at Via Honeybees, they do a great bee chat with Ricky Rourke over at Horizontal Bees. All of them and their crew, Spanky from Filament Corner. And the one and only J.W. Irwin seems to pop up there from time to time when he can get away from rustling raccoons. But if in the comments there, if you've spent some time there on the Horizontal Bees YouTube chat, and via honeybees, who do you guys leave in the comments here? Who do you think made this excellent comment? Was it Tom or was it Melissa? And the comment is, it could take 6+ weeks to rid a colony of viruses after you get mite loads in check. After you get mite loads in check. The end of the season is too close to recover for most folks in the Midwest and north of that. Excellent comment. Thanks for that. And I don't think they're going to let us know who. I'm not sure. Looks like you guys may never know who wrote that. Great comment. That is the fact. That is absolutely the facts, Jack. You might be able to knock the mites back and get low mite washes right now. That does not mean your bees are going to make it through the wintertime. If those bees are sick and full of viruses right now, all you can do is hope and pray and put something on them that is going to actually help with their gut biome, that is going to help with that viral transmission that they have, flush that out, help them with. That's about all you can do right now. Brian, you've had some high mite counts before. What did you do, and how did that turn out late fall going into the wintertime?
So I've had colonies in the same exact boat, and whenever, like, just the rule of thumb for me, when my mite counts are, say, below 2 or 3%. So if you're looking at, in 300 bees, if you're washing, below 9, so 8 and below, that would go for my standard typical treatment. Now, typically in the fall, I would do Apivar. Everybody knows that I would do that. If my counts were double digits, they would get Formic. Now, the temperature, always you had to watch. Now, I just looked, our weather, if I had to do that right now, our weather in Northeast Ohio is perfect for Formic. We're not going to get above 76. So as far as getting close to the 80 and that top end where they say, hey, really watch out because you're going to have, a lot of, what do they say? It's the first, is it 48 hours where you're going to have an excess amount gas off so you can really damage things? We wouldn't have that now. Now, when I've done that in the past, this time of year, and I have had sick colonies, it was a couple years ago, I think I put Formic on like 7 colonies. I lost 3 queens.
Yeah.
Now, they do say you may experience some queen mortality, but the one thing that I always tell people now, just from my experience with Formic, is if you have a very sick colony, you have a queen that is failing, Formic is going to unpackage that gift for you, and it's going to expose everything that you had going on that you didn't see. So you're going to
virus reveal party.
Yeah, it is. It's a reveal party, more or less. They do the, what is it, the gender reveals and all that. When you
viral reveal,
it's a viral reveal party.
Nobody wants that.
And you're gonna open it up, and you're gonna be taking your strips off. And yes, we all know that it kind of affects things for a couple days. So there's a little bit of a time frame where the queen slows, but then when you're checking after your Formic and you're like, wow, I should see some brood now, and you don't see anything. You're seeing no eggs, no larvae, and then you do a deep dive into it and you find no queen, and there's cells the ending of September, October, and that colony is pretty much done.
Maybe we'll get folks to, I don't know how long we have to keep sharing the hard lessons learned. I think a lot of folks are picking up on that. But it seems as though there's so much I want to say. Folks continue to send me screenshots, and they'll say, hey, this Ohio Beekeepers Association just posted where you don't need to treat until a 3% threshold, or they'll say all these things. And what do you think? And it puts me into a tough spot, because if you have a differing opinion, more importantly, if you have a different experience consisting of hundreds and hundreds of colonies that you've done correctly, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds that you've gone by a 3%, or you used this product, or you've done this thing and you have catastrophic failure, that's the results will speak for themselves. What I can say this year is 3% is way too high of a threshold before you start treating, because that 3% number is exponential at different times of the year. If you're waiting until August at 3% to get going on treating your mites, you might be up a creek without a paddle in a major way, because you could have those viruses being transmitted at a rate where those bees are already going to be sick by the time you decide to pull a trigger in September on those. What has seemed to work out beautifully for us is you start thinking about winter, July 4th, when you can get your supers. As soon as you can get your supers pulled off, you are looking for the appropriate window to put the appropriate product on. You've got to have it on hand by July 4th, because when August came, we had a beautiful, beautiful window of time for Formic, and we put it on, and we had tremendous success rates this year with Formic. Every colony that was big enough for 2 pads now, and we put an extra box on top for ventilation, not only did they not lose the queen, but the queens picked up and they went into high gear afterwards, something like we've never seen before. That doesn't happen if you're treating bees that are overloaded with viruses. That happens with bees, if whether they have mites or not, when they go through that time period, if they start pulling brood out, if they are shut down for those various reasons, and now they're ready to kick it in, they come back in with a vigor that you've never seen before, a vigor the likes of which have never been seen. They're tremendous. And I think it's something important to think about. Everyone's telling me how great their queens are doing after treat. Everyone, they say they're the best. Everyone says it's the best. It's the best.
But Greg,
you
have to remember.
Oh boy, here we go.
Wait
for it. Wait for it. Okay, now go.
You want to treat today like it is today. You don't want to treat yesterday, because yesterday is today's yesterday, and tomorrow is today's tomorrow. So you have to treat today, because today is today.
Where do we go from there, Bruce?
That's eloquent. That's wonderful.
You ought to think about running. It takes
unencumbered by what has been.
Unencumbered by what has been, Brian.
Yes.
Unbeholden to yesterday's future.
Unburdened.
So
this is great.
So Greg, if just thinking about my situation in the spring, as far as the format goes, what do you think? Is that something you do early in the year? What would you think?
So I think what your considerations should always be, I think, twofold. Well, threefold. Number one, what are your mite counts? Take a look at that. If you're getting to that 2%, let's do something. But for you in the spring, what does spring really mean for Alabama beekeeping? Does spring mean after the flow, or is this in between flows, or does it matter? And that's where you get into which product can we have on if there is a flow, if we have to treat. It's going to be too hot for Formic. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, you're not going to be able to.
When I say spring, I mean like late winter. I'm talking like February, March time period, because from April on, it's just game on. I mean, I want to be packing honey in. I don't want to be putting anything in there that's going to slow them down. That's the problem is, like, everything happens like within a month or two right there. They start building up 1st of January, and as soon as we can get queens or have an ability to make queens, really February. Last year I split in February. And so it's like, it's just game on until honestly about late June or early July when we pull the honey off. And that's when I usually hit them hard with Apivar and start really watching them.
Yeah.
This year I treated them really good I've treated them constantly. It seemed like through the wintertime with OAV, but many of the bees never brood all the way back. Really almost none of them brood all the way down. Even yours, Greg, still have a little bit of brood in them. So
sure.
They never down here. It never gets cold enough for them to shut all the way down. And so we always have brood, but the OAV I think is pretty effective if you hit them pretty often, but I don't know.
if you're hitting yours at solstice or whenever for you that would be, and they're cleaned up. I mean, do they just have such an extended brood time? I mean, I can't imagine that you're any different than any other southern beekeeper who they're brooding.
No, I doubt if I am. I'm sure.
Do you just think you have surrounding areas, or there are other? I mean, what is a contributing factor? Or if these bees look good coming into the first part of March, what is going on to where when you get into April, May, they're falling apart?
They can look good with the mite count.
Yeah,
it seems like they crash. So they probably just. Like I say, I didn't really wash them. I was real careful and real particular with them through like the end of the year last year, and then I just kind of treated with OAV a couple more times, and they just went into the season. I didn't really check them in that January, February time frame, and so I need to do a better job with that this year. Just check more of them.
Here's this thing that I'm trying to avoid going down the rabbit hole, but I have brought this into the conversation with the leading minds in the beekeeping industry. And I think one of my favorite conversations with this was with Marla Spivak. And when I was talking with Marla about this, I was not aware of any research. I literally said, Marla, it is though we are chasing this mite thing constantly, and I get that. But we need to be redirecting our efforts to working on viral resiliency with these honeybees, because we're finding colonies that are absolutely overloaded with mite counts, yet they're healthy and they're thriving, and there's no evidence that they're falling back, that they're stuttering, that they're tripping, that they're not doing all the things they should be doing. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, we can sometimes have colonies with very few mites in the colony, and they're absolutely falling apart at the seams. They're working on a lot of studies on that right now. And so in that conversation with Marla, she said, yeah, that happens. That's going on. That is a phenomenon, and that is something to be concerned with. What do you do about that? Yeah, I get it. The metric that we have that creates, an average experience is get the mites out of the equation, because the mites are the ones that are vectoring viral transmission. I get it. But at some point in time, we've got to shift this conversation over from which treatment tools are we using to what are we doing to increase viral resiliency within our honeybees. Otherwise, we are always going to be chasing our tails over and over and over again. But there is a lot of silver lining in a lot of this. There are bees out there that seem to be starting to get it together. Maybe they're working on keeping some of the mites out of the equation a little bit better on their own, or they're just rugged enough that where they can deal with it. The end game for me is to have bees that can coexist with mites and not have any issues with viruses. Because guess what? The next thing's coming down the road. It doesn't matter what the name is. It doesn't matter when you know it's going to be here. The fact of the matter is it's coming. And I want to bring something to everyone's attention that I didn't know. How many times have we all regurgitated the same piece of information without having any responsibility for fact checking? One of the things that I am personally guilty of saying in the past is that honeybees are not native to North America. We've brought a European honeybee to North America that are plagued by an Asian mite. I want to challenge everybody, when you get off this stream tonight, to Google North American honeybee artifacts. When I was at Apis Engineering with Dale McMahon and Crispin Given, Dale brought to my attention information that I didn't know, that in Arizona, they indeed have found fossilized honeybees from a long time ago that predates all of this conversation. And that's actually really scary when you think about it. It is therefore then possible that honeybees did exist in North America on their own, but had some kind of doom and gloom or some kind of demise, some type of cataclysmic event. Could it have been weather related? Could it have been, who knows? Could it have been viruses from some unknown parasite? It could have been. We could be finding ourselves right now in a situation where we're working so hard to keep these honeybees alive, but in reality, they maybe already went extinct in North America years and years and years ago. Just think about that. That is really something to think about. And it gets me fired up, and I'm going to slow down. I'm going to catch my breath, because here we are focusing again on trying to keep these bees alive. And I'm just food for thought. Maybe they're heading that direction again. So I'm going to put a pin in that, because I'm going to say a bunch of stuff. I'm going to get really fired up, and I don't want to have a lace up your steel toes for all you tender hearts or tender toes. I don't want to have that kind of clause before the next 18 minutes of fire and brimstone from the pulpit. But just think about that. What if that is true? What if the honeybees already went extinct in North America, and by a second chance, they came back and we're working with the same problems over and over and over again? Something, food for thought. The more you know. I want to give a very special howdy and happy birthday to the one and only Jason Crook from Bohemia Bees. Jason, happy birthday.
I bet his day was just all dialed in.
Brian, I see what you did there. Sometimes you just never cease to amaze me with how quick and punny you are.
See?
I also want to give a shout out here. Check out the merch here. Be Kind or Be Gone live hive removal services.
Oh, wow.
Guess who this is from? One of my favorite humans, favorite beekeepers, and somebody that I've learned so much from about life and what it actually means to be living step by step, breath by breath. The one and only Tim McCandless.
Oh, wow.
Cool. Yeah, he's got a little merch line. He's got a business that's growing and thriving. And man, I'm so proud to hear those praise reports and that his testimony, his beekeeping kind of growing and growing. That is really cool. Guys, we really have gone into an hour already. And I know a lot of us, I am so behind on all these comments here. We're going to have a part 2 to actually answer the questions and talk. I don't know if we can even get to. I want to thank Castle Hives, Brian. Feed, treat, rinse, and repeat. That is the name of the game. Thank you, sir, for your super chat. As always, Bruce, Stream Team, hashtag Be the Lighthouse. And look at this. The birthday boy himself gave us. It's like he gave us. It's like he didn't even bother with the card. He said, "Here's the cash. Thanks for the super chat. Viral reveal party protection fund." Isn't that nice? Special shout out to Brian Zavada over at Flower Street Farms. Thank you for your super chat. Thanks for the great customer service. Brian, thanks for being a great customer. Sure do appreciate you. Bruce, what were you going to say there?
Should we try and hit some of these questions? There's not very
Let's
many.
try it. We're an hour and 3 minutes in. So Lynn Hughes asks, so my question is, using OA, do y'all think that the mites become resistant to OA? My personal opinion is, I don't think so. What say y'all? Bruce, what are your thoughts on that?
I think not, because it actually is a destructive acid that messes the mites up, like it damages the mites. And so, I think some products that they can develop a immunity to or an ability to overcome it. But if it's burning your feet off, how do you overcome that? It's kind of like, I don't think humans could ever become able to resist nerve gas. It's that type of a thing. It just destroys the mite themselves. So I personally believe that this, they cannot become immune to that. Although some people think you can. I guess that's my opinion.
Brian,
I'll say 3 words: synthetic versus organic.
I guess versus is a word, isn't it?
Please expound. What does that explain?
Yeah. So typically, at least, and this is just my thought, where some of the resistance, like Bruce was involved in a study about the amatraz resistance, things like that. You're dealing with synthetics, things that are not organically found out in the environment. Oxalic acid is found it's known to be an organic treatment. So that's why I think it wouldn't be. Now, also, I don't think, and when we had Cameron Jack on, and I've asked several individuals this question, how exactly does oxalic acid kill mites? I don't think they pinpoint, and that's it. Who knows? So if it is that it burns their feet, it does this and that, whatever, like Bruce said, I'm 100% with that. You're not going to build up a resistance to acid. Dip your finger in hydrochloric acid, it's going to burn you. You dip it in there again, it's still going to burn you. You know, you keep dipping it in the acid, it's going to keep burning you. That's just my thought. So
I don't know. Here's what the most of the educated line is, that organics, that honeybees are not developing resistance to organics. Okay. So I get that. But when or if bees, all right, guys, I'm going to apologize in advance for this because I don't want you guys to think that I'm stepping on anybody's toes. But I want you to quickly understand where I'm coming from on this. Having these products that are constantly in the colony, and I'm not specifically pointing out Varoxan, I'm not specifically pointing out extended sponges, but what I'm saying is, in the world of organics that extend far beyond honeybees, but if we get into farming and gardening, you ask any gardener if pests are developing resistance to organic compound-based pesticides, ask them that question, and very many of them will say 100% they are. The reason I say that is, if that is the case, is it because of prolonged exposure, having these organic compounds in the mix for extended time periods? Is that a contributing factor to if those pests are developing resistance? If so, I think it's something that we're going to have to be mindful of and look into long term. By having long-term effects, if these products are now in the colonies for long durations of time, is that going to start to build up issues? I'm not pointing out that one specifically. I'm just saying that's where my train of thought is. I'm not saying I'm always right. I'm wrong a lot, and I'll be the first to admit that, and I've got no problem saying that. That's where my mind is. If we have gardeners seeing that pests are no longer being responsive to organic pesticides, then who are we to think that the pests that are plaguing honeybees are any different? I think it's something to at least keep in the back of our mind, something to be considerate of as we're moving forward. At the end of the day, none of us should want anything inside of our colonies long term unless we 100% know that we need them there and they're doing the thing that has to be happen. No one is putting in Formic or Apigard or all these things in long term all year round just because. I'm not sure that that's a move. It's not a move for me. So I'm just thinking, I'm just throwing some ideas out there for you guys to kind of think about. But I think it's a really interesting question. So right now, I guess the answer is the research that we currently have says no, bees are not, or pests are not developing resistance to OA. What that means in the future, I guess we'll know then. Everything is right until it's proven wrong.
that's right. Greg, you are right.
No, Brian. Whoops. I can't run this thing tonight. I want to thank Mr. Dave Dwyer for your $20 super chat. I really appreciate that. Thank you guys for funding the Fire and Brimstone from Greg's pulpit here. I really appreciate that. We're going to try to do something a little different in the future here, is we're going to be offering member-only chats for the folks that are in our members-only here on our YouTube channel. If you want more of the Fire and Brimstone and the short story longs, we're going to try to create that place and that space for you to be a part of that and see where that conversation goes. Kind of a more exclusive one-on-one kind of scenario, Q&A. Let's talk about your bees. And let's have a lot more short story longs. There was a bunch more questions. I don't know if we can get to them all. We're already at a minute and 10. Mark Epping, hey guys, Greg looks like he outlived the burnout. Thank you for noticing that, and I do want to say thank you to so many folks who reached out after last week's bee chat. You know, I guess I didn't see it until later, but so many folks were reaching out, asking if I'm all right. Are you burned out? And just had a lot of words of encouragement, and we're sending thoughts and prayers. I was absolutely not in a super good spot and was burned out, wore out, tired, felt beat up, felt defeated. And so I really appreciate that. We have spent so much time with you guys over the last 3 years? Going on 3 years, guys? It feels like it. We have spent so much time. Brian and Bruce, I want you to think about this for just a second before we close it out. We have spent so much time with our viewers, subscribers, listeners, fans, family, friends here on this chat that when we're having an off day or a bad day, they know. And they reach out to encourage. Guys, that is special. That's a big deal. And I just want to say special thanks to all the folks who reached out to make sure we were doing okay. We really appreciate you guys. Guys, we've got next couple weeks. Next couple weeks. What am I talking about here? What's coming up the next week up in or down in Dothan, Alabama, Bruce? What's going on for the next week with you?
Well, the hurricane.
Well,
but after that, then we'll just see. We'll pick up the pieces. Maybe it won't be too bad here. Typically, whenever there's a hurricane that comes through, our church gets involved with a lot of cleanup after that, and this is going to be close enough that there will probably be some of that going on. If I'm asked to go to that, I may be doing some of that on the end of a chainsaw. We'll see.
Yeah.
But as far as the bees go, mainly just going to be checking on them, checking for weight. I might start treating for mites a little bit, trying to just maybe do some OAV treatments. I'm not sure, but the first thing I have to do is this Saturday, I need to get out. Need to get back down to Upland Farms and feed and try to get, just kind of peeking on some of the hives and see how they're doing. Do have a lot of, quite a bit of honey we've been bottling up. If you look right over here, in this black milk carts right there, those are all full of 300 of the pound and a half square bottles from Soda Plastics that are going to Upland Farms, plus some honey straws. So we've been working on that. Currently working on an order right here. We're in the honey room down here
that's nice. Look at that.
Jars. Wow. I've got to dip them in wax when we're done here with the chat. So I'll be, I put them in a wax seal around the top. This is an 8 ounce. So just a little bit of that going on and just kind of in a holding pattern. I really probably needed to be doing bee stuff this past weekend, but I was at the Alabama Bee Conference, and so the Alabama Beekeeping Association, and so I'm kind of behind, but we'll see what happens. I am going to have a video coming out hopefully soon. It's on the I got a thorn wax melter, and I went ahead and rendered my summer wax cappings and got about 91 pounds, I think it ended up being, and so it's a lot of wax. But it's just the video right now is like 34 minutes long, and that's too long, so I got to cut it down. It's just I took so many clips and in the video I'm going to show all the things I did wrong and the things I did right, and so it's going to be a real comprehensive review of the thorn wax melter. It's a great piece of equipment. It is expensive, but if you have a lot of wax to render, I'm well pleased with it. So I'll just give you that little heads up for those who are on the chat tonight.
Well, that'll be exciting to see all that, Bruce. Of course, we'll keep you and everyone in the path in our thoughts and prayers, and looking forward to a good praise report that everything is all good and well moving forward from there. Got a special shout out to Gloria Yoder. Wow, what an amazing super chat, Gloria. Thank you for that. Gloria is awesome. Haven't had a chance to see Gloria here at the Learning Yards this year. And when I asked Susan, I said, we haven't seen Gloria a whole lot this year at all. And then she told me, I think she's been busy. So Gloria, thanks for reaching out. And thank you so much for that super chat. Special shout out to our buddy Rob, Lori, and Pops over at Larabi's. Keep after it, Greg. Thank you for being the lighthouse for so many of us. Thank you for that tremendous super chat. I think it's we've said it a million times, that bees are the conduit to the people. And there are so many folks that we are blessed to call family and friends in this bee business, in this bee community. What a tremendous honor it is to just be a small part of some folks' story and vice versa. Having so many folks be a part of our story, that is super awesome. Looking forward to seeing it. A lot of folks at the Bee Expo will have the same stream team, dream team conglomeration of folks, I think, hanging out in the same area. So that's going to be really awesome. Brian, what is going on in Northeast Ohio for Castle Hives the next week?
Well, so hopefully weather cooperates, and I'm just going to get over, and it's more or less, I guess, with the next moves, I'm saying summer is done, and we're going to start get some equipment on for the winter, just with the shims. I'll probably do some spot washes just to check here and there, but I treat, I treat across the board anyways. So, but yeah, it's just wrapping things up. I'll probably, if the flow is done, I'll probably pull those couple extra supers off and equalize those honey frames throughout. If there's any extra, I'll spin that off just to get that equipment all cleaned up. But it's more or less just wrapping things up. So for it to be not even October and I'll have things wrapped up, to that point, a lot earlier than what I normally would. So a little happier about that. So gives you a little bit more of a time that you can react, though, that if you do come across a situation, you all know, normally I'm pulling strips the end of October. So, and it just, by that point there, it's too late. So, but right now where they're at, I think it's good. And I think moving towards 2025, hopefully, I'll cross my fingers. Hopefully next spring is a little bit different for me. So we'll see, though. So fun stuff.
Fun stuff. Well, it's wow, what's going on the next week here? We gotta wish Jane, our local friends, Jane turned 75. I think it's 75. Actually, should I have said that? Jane turned 57, right, Steve? I'm sure Steve and Jane are listening tonight. Great folks. They're always a lot of fun to have here around the shop. When Steve's around, we get a lot done. We just sit down, drink coffee, and those are some of my favorite moments here in the shop where you can just sit down, have a cup of coffee, shoot the breeze, and I like that a lot. So happy birthday, Miss Jane, 70. Wait a minute, I wasn't supposed to say that. 57 years young. So yeah, happy birthday. Man, what's going on here in the week? I'm trying to just get past the last couple of days, but it's Bee Expo prep time. So that's what we're doing right now, and we're really pumped up and excited about the best quality wax dipped equipment on the market. ENDURAHIVE wax dip, no paint, no rot, no hassle. You guys have heard it. So many of you have these boxes, have them in your yards, and I really appreciate those opportunities. We have a lot of folks who have expressed a lot of interest in becoming dealers for ENDURAHIVE wax dipped throughout the country, and so that's also exciting to navigate. And excited to have those talks with folks to kind of bring them into the ENDURAHIVE wax dip family to get these product lines to their local areas. And we're really excited about that. If you've got a small beekeeping supply shop and you're looking for wax dipped line of equipment for your customers, if you're interested in getting on our price list for the Bee Expo, or you want to get onto our closed queen list for 2025, that's right. I don't think we're going to be turning queens loose on the website next year. It's going to be a closed list only scenario. So if you want to be notified of when we're going to have queens, if you want to go ahead and get on that list, if you want to learn more about when our packages and nukes are going to be available, Bee Expo pricing, or if you're interested in becoming an ENDURAHIVE wax dipped dealer, go to our website, naturesimagefarm.com, hit the contact us, shoot us a message. And I look forward to having those talks. It's an exciting time right now in the beekeeping industry. And again, I cannot thank you guys so much for just being awesome. Brian and Bruce, I mean, going on 3 years. Is that like silver or gold, or should we buy each other something? I'm thinking 10 foil hats for all. That's what I'm thinking. Right? We're gonna fight with some 10 foil hats. We're just gonna get wild. What do you guys think? Is that the 3-year anniversary gift we give each other? 10 foil?
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. Okay.
I think, Greg, what you did right there is you dialed it all in.
Brian, I mean, he just, you don't need to learn new jokes, Brian. You just take the same one and you just run it. Send it over and over. I mean, it never gets old.
It works in so many different situations.
Right. Just dial that thing up to 11 each time. Just send
Dial it in.
Right. Well, speaking of dialing it in, got to again thank Rob Pollock and the whole crew at Larabi's for providing such an amazing oxalic acid vaporizer. What is that? Vaporizer product. And Rob's commenting on the ENDURAHIVE wax tip. It was a lot of fun earlier this year to send Larabi's a whole skid of ENDURAHIVE wax tipped products. They are top notch. We run them even mixed in with our Apame hives. Absolutely. One of the great things about our wax tip line is you can run them right with Apame, especially with the Apame upgrade kits. Pretty cool stuff. Want to quickly recognize and shout out one of our favorite friends and collaborators in this YouTube space, Miss Lisa Gowan, Grammy Midwives, Hives, and Homestead. She had a debut launch at the Alabama Beekeepers shindig there. And man, we're so proud of her. That is so cool. That is a big accomplishment. We saw you. We noticed that. Job well done. You guys are awesome.
She won the grand prize in the honey show as well.
No kidding.
Yep. She had several, her and Deidre had several products that placed high. And so she won the grand prize overall for the whole thing. So
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Good for her. That's great. I love hearing about those victories. That is cool. That's awesome. Next week, let's see, guys. I want to apologize. We can't get through all these comments tonight. We're gonna have to find more ways to be more efficient on this. Next week is on Brian's channel. Brian, tell us. I think you've got. I don't know. Do you want to let the cat out of the bag, or is this a secret debut release? Do you want to go ahead and kind of tease who you're going to have on next week?
No. Next week, going to have Mary from University of Florida. She's part of the Honeybee Lab and extension. She is involved with the Master Beekeeper program that they have. So she's been a great resource, like through my time going through that program. She organizes a lot for the program, and I just thought, you know what? Why not get her and have her come on? I know she sent me a little bio. She's been involved with bees for many, many years. I had reached out also to see if Cameron Jack was able to pop on I was going to see if he wanted to heckle her for a little bit. And he's going to be away, but he might get into chat. He said anytime that he could jump on and heckle Mary, that he would do so. But no, next week's going to be fun. I can't wait just to dive in and learn more about that program. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are always interested in learning more, and why not get involved in a program and learn more about bees. So, but yeah, it'll be a great opportunity, I think, for everybody. So looking forward to it.
Brian, I don't want to, this is really tough for me to bring to your attention, but I don't think you're the only one with jokes, buddy. I mean, look at Jason stepping up. I mean, look, this is original. Sounds like Grammy dialed it in also at the Honey Show.
Dialed it right in. That is pretty cool. I got to give 2 more shout outs, folks, that are on my mind. I want to say thanks to Mr. Bob Todd. I think he saw the video about us enjoying some beautiful coffee from T&T Roasters. And he does some local roasting here, and he sent me some to try. So I want to say thanks. I'm a coffeeholic. I've got 2 vices in this world, and I'm a work in progress. One of them is coffee, and the second is biscuits and gravy. It is what it is. If I'm going to die of a heart attack, at least it's going to be over biscuits and gravy and coffee. There's worse things, I think, to be going out on is that. The other one, a very special shout out to Pastor Larry Hancock. I see you every Sunday morning
going live with the Bible study before you head off to church. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate what you're doing. And I'm pretty sure if I get this wrong, I'm terribly sorry. I'm almost 100% positive that him and his wife are with the Hallelujah Bee Farm. And I remember seeing their shirts, I think briefly meeting them last year. And so I really appreciate folks. This is not, and they are prime examples. There are so many folks out there. It's about being a lighthouse to others. We've all sung that song in Sunday school. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. That is important. And we are in a time right now where I think we all need to be mindful of that, not to let that light be hidden under a bushel, but to let it shine for all of those. So when they see those works, they give glory to our Father in heaven. That's important. And I want to encourage folks to be a lighthouse to others. That's what it's all about. Next week, Brian's channel, Wednesday, is going to be a great one. Looking forward to seeing you guys there. And as always, I want to remind you to be the lighthouse and be the change you want to see in this world. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Hi, I'm Greg Burns, founder of Nature's Image Farm and ENDURAHIVE wax-dipped equipment. Hey, as large family beekeepers, we saw a major need to do way better in protecting our investment with our beekeeping equipment from the elements for the long haul. So I coupled our practical beekeeping experience with our wood science background to create the ENDURAHIVE wax-dipped line of beekeeping equipment. Our unique wax dip process expels water from the wood, replaces and impregnates it with our proprietary blend of microcrystalline wax, offering superior weather protection without the mess or expense of paint. Our equipment is protected from the weather inside and out, preventing box rot, fungal growth, and decomposition. That's a huge savings in both time and money. No more reworking tired, worn out boxes year after year. Our wax-dipped equipment is proudly made in the USA. So protect your investment with ENDURAHIVE wax-dipped equipment. No paint, no rot, no hassle. ENDURAHIVE, built to endure.